welcome to our midweek show, The Fantasy Lens, where we take a deep dive into anything and everything fantasy hockey specific. Today ain't no different. We will attack Craig Button's 2025-2026 top 50 NHL affiliated prospects list. We're going to go through those players and let you know which ones you should really pay attention to, which ones we like less. And I'll have Vince tell you more about it right now.
Yeah, so basically we're talking about Craig Button's 2025-2026 top 50 NHL affiliated prospects. So basically these are prospects that have been drafted by NHL teams but haven't played an NHL game yet. We have players that have been picked first round, top 5, 2 players who have been picked in the third, even fourth round. So basically Greg Button takes all these players and gives us an estimation where he thinks which ones are ready to go into the NHL, and we take it in. Is there space for this player on this team that was drafted next year? A lot of us are preparing, whether we like it or not. We can all be part of a championship team, or even in the premises like myself of being even close to a championship team. So we dodge into the prospects and see what prospects we can go get, which prospects we drafted, and which prospects are hitting. Because like in the real NHL, sometimes your picks are not so good.
So this is specifically dynasty fantasy hockey that we're looking
yes,
at.
Greg Button doesn't look at the fantasy aspect of this, but we're just going to follow his list. But we are going to put a fantasy perspective to this. Our fantasy perspective is basically position the player, where on this team can this player fit, how soon can they be fantasy relevant on their team. Okay, so you guys got the rules?
Yes, sir.
Nick looks confused. Oh, there he is. Okay. All right. So the first player that Greg Button has on his list is Tij Igilna, son of famous Hall of Famer Jerome Igilna, maybe. So Tij is 19 years old, got drafted by Utah in the first round, 6th overall in 2024. He has 44 games played. He has 40 goals and 85 points in the WHL. So Nick, I'm going to start with you with Igilna. What can you tell me about Igilna? Is he going to be? He's drafted on a team that is a playoff team right now. Is he going to be that superstar that a 6th overall pick should be, or and how quickly can he progress himself into the team?
So Tij Igilna was drafted in 2024, which means that he is on the older side of a lot of the players that are on this list. So in 2024, he was picked 6th overall, like you said, to the Utah Mammoth. Now, I feel like Button oftentimes has favorites, and he tends to go with those favorites, and he really loves Tij Igilna, Canadian boy that is the son of a famous Canadian player.
Sorry, Nick. I also believe that Button was in the Flames organization when they either traded for Gilna or drafted. I'm not sure they drafted again. I think they traded for Gilna, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah,
He was drafted by the Stars.
Yes. Yeah. In every list we're gonna see, there's always, like Nick says, some favoritism. That's why we try to put our fantasy turn to it so that it could help.
Yeah, so at the time of this article, he had 85 points in 44 games played. You always have to take the WHL stats with a grain of salt because WHL stats are wild. They literally put up hundreds of points in 50 or so games played every single year, at least the good ones do. And I think this year we have another guy on this list much later on, Bryce Pickford, who has like 43 goals in 45 games played, also WHL. So WHL, and he's a defenseman. So WHL is a very different animal. So instead, what we look at is we try to use other tools as well, like PNHLE, or in this case, something that uses PNHLE, which is hockey prospecting tools, has Tijigila as a 12% chance of being a star in his D+2 season. And like they're saying that it would translate into about 48 points if it was the actual NHL, which is an improvement year over year from what he had in the previous ones, which is a very good sign for his future and a very high chance of him being an NHLer and probably a second line player, maybe top sixer. Overall is Tijinginla.
Nick, does he have like it, for some prospects? There's already a spot for them on their future team next year. For Tijigilna, because he's drafted from the Utah Mammoths, who have already a very good top six. Is there a spot for Tijigilna next year on that team? Like it, do you see him even getting a bit of like a cup of tea in the NHL next year, or do you think this is like a 2 year uh, progression for him into the NHL?
Well, I mean, it's very possible that he does get a shot. Um, like their contract situation is it's hard to really look into it now without them going through free agency, without knowing how the season ends. But let's just say that you know Clayton Keller is going to be there next year. Nick Schmaltz just signed an 8-year contract. Logan Cooley's not going anywhere. Paterka's not going anywhere.
Mhm.
Dylan Gunter's not going anywhere. But there is a sixth
That's already
spot
five
there.
players.
There is a sixth spot there that could help, right? With Lawson Cruz, maybe somebody that Tijigila could take over for, but I don't think it's going to be as early as next year. I see Tijigila coming in, if he does come in next year, on that third pairing with Barrett Hayton and Carcone.
hmm
Um, I don't see them being a top sixer right off the bat, but eventually, yes, there is a spot for him in that Lawson Cruz mold.
But if you have him in the dynasty league, he's definitely a holder right now, right?
Well,
For
I
you
mean,
on your team, like if
absolutely. He's
you're
a future
his,
top six. See, to
okay,
me, a future top six player is a hold. Absolutely. Maybe even if you could buy. But when
okay,
Craig Button comes out of this list and puts him as number one, maybe it's time to sell high. Who knows?
yeah.
It all depends on your situation, right?
All right, Junior, we're going to talk about the second guy on this list, which we've mentioned a few times, especially since Nick traded for him. But Anton Frundell, his position is center. He's 18 years old. He drafted by the Chicago Blackhawks. Plays in the SHL, which is a professional adult league, if I'm not mistaken. 2025 draft, third overall. 42 games played, 27 points, 19 goals from what he was saying. So, what can you tell me about Frandel? And once again, like Nick, like with Chicago, where do you see him coming in with Chicago?
Well, he should come as early as next year, and he's a top six player. I mean, this team is rebuilding. You're not going to start a Ryan Green or an Andre Burakovsky, even if it's on the wing. You're not going to start them over a Frondel. I'm
hmm
not 100% convinced Frondel is going to come into the NHL and be a center from the start. I think they might ease him in. They're going to see maybe who's more effective between him and Nazar, perhaps. But yeah, he's gonna come into the league as of next year. How much time it'll take to adapt, I'm not sure. But he's got like some of his strengths that were like the hockey writers assigned him some strengths during his draft year, and he's got some really important ones that stick out, like a strong IQ and a hockey sense. That's one of the biggest things you need to have in terms of a trait to be an elite player in the league. So that's, check. High end compete level. He doesn't drag his feet. He doesn't just play when he feels like playing. Check. Strong puck protection skills. He's a big boy. Excellent. So like, I was really high on Frundell. I really love Frundell. I think he can come into the league and make a lot of noise. And he's coming into the league where on a team that's right now has no pressure. Like you say, Vince, like he could come in and just play the game and learn without having to worry about being benched because he made a mistake, right?
hmm
They've done it with Bedard. They've done it with Nazar. They're doing it with Lardis, who's recently come up and played a few games. So they're building something nice. Frendel's a big part of that.
So on hockey prospects, Anton Frandel star probability is 87%, NHL probability 99%. His full comps comparison is a Jason Spezza, Mark Savard. So they're thinking that he's going to be a future centerman in the NHL. So if you have Bedard as your centerman, you have Frandel as your centerman. Does this mean Nazar is getting pushed to the wing at some point? Because you're not going to have Nazar as your third wing as your third centerman.
I'm not convinced Bedard stays at center.
Ooh,
I'm not
really?
convinced. I think Bedard. There's a chance Bedard gets pushed to the wing. I'm not saying that because Frandel is so good that he gets pushed to the wing. I think it opens up Bedard more as a point getter from the wing than it does moving Frandel to the wing. Um, and if Frandel is as good as they think he is, should be a top line player, not necessarily a second liner. So it won't be as early as next year, but we'll see.
Anything to add, Joe?
He's just the fourth 18-year-old to score 20 goals in the SHL.
Yeah.
Yeah, it plays with men. That's another thing.
Yeah, and we've seen it. The biggest thing is the players who have been playing with men have had an easier transition to the NHL than the players who have been coming out of the juniors or NCAA. So it'll be an interesting watch. But I mean, Frandel is definitely has a spot on that Chicago team. It's just how early do they want him to join the team? That's going to be the question. So we will see. Number 3 on Button's list is Porter Martone. He's a right wing, 19 years old, drafted by Philly. He's playing with Michigan State in the NCAA. He was drafted 6th overall in 2025. 32 games played, 46 points, 23 goals. Nick Martone, he's built to play with Philly, that's for sure. He's got that sandpaper aspect to his game to play with Philly. So, what do you tell me about Marton? Philly is missing some firepower, that's for sure, in their lineup. Can he bring it?
Well, it's a question of um, right now they're playing on the right side, Konechny, Owen Tippett, and Matvey Michkov. Um, but the left side looks
Oh my
really
God.
weak. Alex Bump, Grabenkin, and Denver Barkey. Uh, I definitely think that they're trying to spread out the points here, which is why this lineup looks like this, and it's such a typical Rick Tocchet line where you just have like all your stars are split up in different places and nobody plays together. Uh, but Porter Martone, I think personally, could be a great complement to Michkov if you move Michkov to the other side. Or he could be a great complement to somebody like Owen Tippett, who shoots a lot as well. But it would be so cool to see Martone and Michkov together. Maybe you trade for some center with an M so you could have a triple M line. 59% chance of being a star. Um, he's 19 years old, 6'3", 79% NHLer probability. So this is a great player to have here at number 3. I really like his game. I'm curious to see how his NHL career goes in Philly.
Junior, anything to add?
Nope. All
Okay.
good.
No. Okay, so number 4 on this list is the first player who was not drafted in the first round. Ilya Protas, the brother of the other Protas that's playing with Washington,
Alexia.
Alexia. He's 19 years old. He plays in Hershey in the AHL, so he is playing with adults with men right now. He was drafted in 2024. He was drafted 75th overall, so in the third round. In 57 games played in the AHL, he has 48 points. Junior, Washington, we've seen Washington retool very, very well. This year, you can say they took a step back, but they're still there fighting for a playoff spot. But you see that they're ready to do that transition. They're ready. They traded John Carlson to make space for another player that we're going to talk about that we spoke about in our last episode, but we'll speak about him today too because he's on the list. So up front, what do you see with Protas, and where does he fit with this Washington team up front?
I
And
mean, he's a left winger. There's a
hmm,
left winger that was on the last year of his contract as we speak, Alex Ovechkin, right? There's
hmm,
Hendrix Lapierre that plays left wing. There's his brother Alexi that plays left wing. There's Duhaime that plays left wing. Again, this is not necessarily a rebuilding team, but there's definitely a spot here for him, and he's done his dues in the like he's doing his dues in the AHL. He's played 50 games now already. Next year, I think, come training camp, he'll have an opportunity. It also depends like what they decide to do with Connor McMichael. Is he a center? Is he a winger? Right.
hmm.
So, but yeah, Ilya Protas, he's another big guy. He's a bit like his brother, just maybe slightly more skilled. One of his strengths is that he knows how to play within his body. So a lot of big guys, it takes them time to figure out how to play in that body, and he's kind of mastered that already, which is a great sign that that translates really well to the NHL, and you need that. And the one thing that I'm just a little bit worried about is that one of his strengths is that he can create offense because he's patient with the puck, but you have less time in the NHL. So that's the one thing I want to see when he does get his opportunity, if it's gonna how it's gonna translate from OHL to AHL to the NHL.
Nick, anything to add?
I mean, yeah, the hockey prospecting model is not very kind to him. His star probability is 12% only. They have a lot of misses as full comparisons to him in his D+2 season. I don't think it's very accurate when it comes to Ilya Protas. I think he will be a player that plays, and he's going to be a player that has an NHL written all over him. The question is he going to be in a top six role necessarily? Is he going to be a second line player? I think he is.
Can he be?
But
I think he could be like almost a carbon copy of his brother, like a 30-30, or 25-25, like 50 to 60
yeah,
points maybe, but like 25
yeah.
to 35 goals or something.
There's a lot of good NHL players that are not 100-point players, right?
Yeah.
So hockey prospecting states that, well, if they're not a 100-point player, basically you're not a star kind of thing, or an 80-point per game player, right? But he could still be very serviceable, especially in those hit leagues. It's going to be interesting to see the other Protast brother and how he does.
All right. So to our next player, who is the first goalie on this list at number 5, and I'm just gonna put two goalies together here because they're basically they play on the same team. So I'm really interested to see what you guys think. So at number 5, Button has Trey Augustine. He's 21, got drafted by Detroit, plays for Michigan State in the NCAA. In 2023, he got drafted 41st overall, so in the second round. His goals against is 2.06, and while right now I'll give you the updated one. His goals against right now is 2.08, and his save percentage is 0.929 in the NCAA. He's played 32 games. But then we have Sebastian Kosa, who is ranked 19 on Button's list. He's 23. He plays for Grand Rapids in the AHL. He was drafted in 2021 and he was drafted 15th overall. His stats in the AHL this year is 33 games played. He's got a 2.11 goals against average and a 0.922 save percentage, record of 24, 6, and 3. Kosa, 6'7", Trey Augustine, 6'1". Like Nick, and they have John Gibson, who's on contract for another 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Like, what's happening here? There was a lot of talk this trade deadline about Detroit maybe giving up one of the goalies to get some help, NHL help. What can you tell me about these two goalies? Which one do you think is the one that's really gonna, I mean, beat? Which one's gonna beat who out for that spot in nets for Detroit?
So last year, Augustine was 20th on Craig Button's list. This year, he's 5th. So that gives a nice little bump to Augustine moving forward. Uh, Kosa is listed as 19 this year. Um, I don't know. Like Kosa wasn't even on the list last year, so to me it looks like Craig Button has Augustine much higher in pedigree and much closer to the NHL than Kosa is. So it's going to be very interesting because there is a lot of variability when it comes to goalies. There's a lot of we have no idea what's going to happen when it comes to goalies. And I know, Vince, that you just want me to help you here, but honestly, flip a coin, flip a coin, see what happens, and just enjoy the ride.
Ginger?
Well, for starters, the age gap allows you to maybe give a bit more confidence to Kosa because of the numbers he is putting up in the AHL. I mean, those are pretty outstanding numbers. You already listed them, so I won't. But if you look at like Frozen Tools and Dauber Prospects, they're giving Sebastian Kosa a prospect upside of 8.5 on 10 and a prospect certainty of 75%. On the other side of that, there's Trey Augustine's prospect upside is 8 on 10 and prospect certainty 80%. So like Nick said, you're literally just flipping a coin here. It's I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how Detroit navigates that. I don't think there's obviously space for both. I own Trey Augustine, so I'm always going to root for him. Um,
We're on
but
opposite sides.
his numbers in the NCAA are pretty good as well. And Michigan State didn't have like always the best team, so it's nice to see that he has like a just over 2 goals against average and 925 plus save percentage.
Listen, my only argument with this is that goalies that are tall usually get the benefit of the doubt, and Kosa is playing against men, whereas Augustine is still playing against boys. If you guys remember, not too far back, 3-4 years back, the one who won the goalie of the year in the NCAA was McKay, I think, that Toronto signed at one point and still hasn't seen the NHL. So I'm still, not because I'm a owner of Kosa, but I'd still push more towards Kosa just because he's getting these numbers playing against men and not against boys in the NCAA. But at one point, I think we all agree that I don't think Detroit should be keeping both these guys on their team. Like at one
I,
point, one
I
of
don't
them
agree
has
with
to.
that.
No, you think they
No.
should be a.
Why would you get rid of good prospects? You have good prospects, man.
If you can trade them for a good NHLers, you wouldn't do it
No, not
to help your
necessarily.
team.
Look, to me, you have two good goalies out there. Well, that's great. Now you have two good goalies in your system, and maybe one day they split 1A and 1B starts, like
Mm,
most NHL teams do. Like if Augustine doesn't turn into a Vasilevsky or a Sorokin, like there's only a handful of these guys
yeah,
that play 60 games or more.
mm,
So I think this is great for Detroit moving forward. But yeah, it's a long road for goaltending when it comes to actually hitting the NHL, right?
yeah.
Kosa is closer. He's 23 years old, but it's
But they still
it's
they still have Gibson
it's
under
long.
contract for another. Yeah, they still have Gibson under contract for another 2 years. So
Yeah, Kosa can back
uh,
up for 2 years.
yeah, exactly. We'll wait and see.
But there's like, I mean, it comes out to more than just stats too, right? Like you want to know, like, are they technically sound? Like, what kind of goalies are they? Like Augustine, according to Elite Prospects, has an excellent technical foundation. Vince,
Mm,
whether you're talking about his post sealing ability, hinge as he rotates, or strength off pushes off the post, he ranks high in every regard. Augustine is also a wizard on a jam play with below the goal line puck movement. He also has incredible net awareness, the ability to always know where the frame of the net is and hit his spot, when retreating back to the post. I mean, look, Augustine all the way, man.
Look,
Oh, and he's
guys,
a winner. He's a winner, by the way. World Cup, a gold medal, World Junior Championships 2 times, silver medal 1 time, bronze medal another time, NCAA championship he's got 2.
so talking about like a bunch of different players, Detroit has four guys on this list
hmm
for Craig Button. The only other teams that have four is Montreal has four guys, and the Utah Mammoth has four guys. So just keeping that in mind.
Oh yeah, and Julia, just to let you know, apparently Dominic Hasek was very good technically too,
Oh, he's a Hall of Famer, is he not?
and he wasn't
Actually,
very good
Dominic,
technically. He was the worst technical goalie in the NHL, but
but
yet
he was
he's
a
a Hall of
battler.
Famer. Yeah,
But he's a battler.
exactly. All right,
Yeah,
so
but how
before
many of those can you account for?
we still haven't found one. Maybe
Yeah,
Costa is the
are we
next one.
really fighting about prospect goalies here?
Yeah, we are.
Uh,
All right. Before we get to our number 6 and number 7, just a quick notice from our sponsors, DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbooks, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With player props and live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you the options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers, bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN, that's code THPN, to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York? Call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut? Call 8887-897777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states. Voided in Ontario and Quebec. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Copyright 2026. NHL. All rights reserved. All right, boys. So let's get to the nitty gritty now. So number 6. I mean, I think you both can have an opinion on this guy since he plays for our team, or he got drafted by our team. So Michael Hage, he's a centerman, 19 years old. He's playing for Michigan. Got drafted 21st overall in the first round. 35 games played, 12 goals, 49 points. More of a playmaker than a goal scorer. Junior, I'm going to start with you now. There was a lot of talk between Hab fans at this trade deadline that he was untouchable and Hab should not trade him for no one. So, what can you tell us about Michael Hage, and do you see him make the jump to the NHL anytime soon?
Well, they're starting to question once Michigan is no longer playing if he's going to sign his ELC this year. But on that note, for that specific note, I think what ends up happening with Michael Hage is he'll finish the season and then they'll sign him to a 1-year AHL contract, and then his ELC will kick in next year. But I don't think he's going to touch the NHL or the playoffs this year, to tell you the truth. But no, they should be excited about him. Michael Hage is a good player. We saw glimpses of it in the World Juniors. He's doing really well with the Michigan Wolverines. But if you're asking me if you have to keep him, I don't think he's a player he's not. I don't know. I don't suspect he's going to be a number one center in this league. And if he's not going to be a number one center on your team, then why not trade him to another team? But from a fantasy perspective, Michael Hage, I think, can be like a 70-point player, close to a point per game, maybe. He's really fast. He skates well. Stick handles well. He's actually he's one of the better prospects on the rush. He's able to like maneuver to make the defenseman like cross over, which gives him even more space, and then looks for the vulnerabilities and kind of creates chances for his line mates. So he's very impressive. I'm just slowing down on the number one center talk. I'm not convinced of that.
Nick?
Well, Michael Hage is 20% chance of being a star according to Hockey Prospecting, 81% chance of being an NHLer. They have some comps that are really interesting, like Peter Forsberg and Timo Solani.
We
Jesus.
wish.
More likely Ray Ferraro um, or Pat Verbeek. But I see him as a top six center. I don't think he's a number one center. But a second line center on this team, which really needs a second line center, makes a lot of sense to me. I would love to see more of him. but he's still only 19 years of age. Um, he's about to turn 20. Um, it's exciting for Habs to have this player be part of the core for the future. And a really good thing for this is that if he does come in next year under his ELC guys, that's $1 million or
Mm-hmm.
less for 3 years of this team competing for the playoffs. So I think that's where the big um, value comes, right, for the Habs.
But you think he comes in and he acts like a number two center off the bat? And he's going to produce like a number two center? I don't think so, guys.
That's hard to
Ca-
say.
but
That's really difficult.
okay, so if he's not a number two center, why wouldn't it be a number one or number two winger where you leave Kapanen as a number two centerman and then you either have H, Kapanen, Demidov, or you have Demidov, Kapanen, Slavkovsky, and then you have Caulfield, Suzuki, H.
Mm. I think he's like a natural center, but at the World Juniors, did he center or the McKenna center? I think he was a center,
McKenna,
no?
he was a winger. No, well, McKenna's a winger. McKenna's not a centerman.
Oh yeah, so
So
He was centering McKenna, yeah.
yeah, he was centering McKenna if I'm not mistaken. But like Nick said, the key part is if Montreal can get this kid rolling on an ELC contract and play top 6 minutes and produce top six, that's like gold for any team that's hoping to go for a playoff run and a Stanley Cup run, is to get those top six players on a low contract so that you can just add on your bottom or your top defender. So it'll be interesting to see once he comes in. I'm not sure he'll get a taste of the NHL this year. I think if he signs, he'll be at the AHL and make his mark in the AHL and then take it from there. So we'll see. Next player, Nick. No, who is it? Is it Nick or Junior's turn?
Nick.
Nick. Well, Nick, you own this player. We spoke about him last episode. Cole Hudson just signed his ELC with the Washington Capitals. He is the second player of Washington in the top seven. So there's protests in him. 19 years old, played for Boston University. 2024 drafted 43rd overall, so second round. 34 games played, 32 points. But like we said, his Boston team took a bit of a beating this year with losing players to the NHL. So, I mean, we spoke about him last episode, but Nick, just give us a quick roundup about Cole Hudson and if you believe that he, I mean, all with him signing that contract, there's no way he doesn't get a taste of the NHL this year, right?
Oh, he's playing
Yeah.
next game, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But Cole Hudson, I just want to mention it because we mentioned it last episode, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Hockey prospecting tools has him as 93% chance of being a star. It is extremely rare for hockey prospecting to have anybody that high, let alone in the not higher or higher than 90 is insane. So even Frundell, by the way, is under 90%. So this is definitely something that is rare, and looking forward to what he does in the NHL in the next couple of games. But ready to move on to the next
Yeah.
players.
So, Junior, I'm going to put these two players together because they were both drafted in 2025 and they were drafted 4 and 5 or 5 and 4. So Button has Brady Martin as number 8. He's a center right wing, 18 years old, drafted by Nashville. Um, 41 games played, no, sorry, 19 games played, 21 points in the OHL. He got injured this year, so he didn't play much. And at number 9, they have Khalif Deswagny. My God. He's a centerman, 18 years old, drafted by Utah. He's playing with Moncton in the Q. Drafted 4th overall, 41 points, 41 games played, 74 points. Drew, tell me between these two guys' fancy relevance, who would you rather have, and which one is in the better position to crack the NHL sooner?
Which one would I rather have? I think it also depends the kind of league you're in, because Brady Martin has decent peripherals, blocking shots, face-offs. Even though he's not naturally a center, he can take face-offs. Or is he naturally a center? I don't even remember now.
Yeah, he's naturally a centerman.
Yeah, so face-offs, hits, blocks, like he does all that stuff, and he chips in offensively. I feel like Brady Martin is one of those elite, like the Kunitzes of the world, and all those players that made a name playing with Crosby, but they still had to score. They still have to
Hmm.
produce. He's those guys because not everybody can succeed in those situations. But he's one of those guys that I feel like you put him on the wing as a complementary piece, and he's going to be elite for you. Desnoyers is more of a two-way guy. So with a punch offensively, of course, but his struggles this year is going to discourage a lot of people. I don't think you need to be discouraged that much. Desnoyers is going to have a successful NHL career. He's going to be good. He's not going to be elite. He might be fringe. He's going to be like a second line center more than a first line center. But because he's given more defensive responsibilities in the future, I don't know how much that's going to take away from his offense. So if I had to choose here right now, I'd say Brady Martin. Plus, you'll get Brady Martin in the National Hockey League probably a lot sooner than Desnoyers. I feel like Brady Martin's closer to being NHL ready than Desnoyers is.
Nick, anything to add?
No.
No, look at you. All right, so number 10. And after this one, I'm going to make you guys pick a player each that's on this list that you guys want to talk about. So, Roman Kantsarov, a right winger, 21 years old, so one of the older ones, plays for Chicago. Wonder who else plays for Chicago. KHL. He was a 2023 draft pick, 44th pick overall. So in the second round, in 61 games in the KHL, he's got 62 points and 34 goals. Nick, what can like? I'm not gonna be on. I'm gonna be very honest with you. When I saw his name, it is the first time I am hearing about this player. So you tell me, Nick, what can you tell me about this player?
So he's been mentioned a couple of times only recently because he's having such a great KHL campaign. Only 5'9" and has been somebody that's been on fire this year, especially. When we're taking a look at Kantsarov, um, Hockey Prospecting has him at 31% chance of being a star, graduating this year, and 90% chance of NHLer. So I think we're looking at a possible top six winger. The 5'9" part scares the bejesus out of me. But like his comparables are Corey Stillman, Frank Nazar, and Chinkaruk, who didn't make it. So
Mm,
um, we'll see how this goes moving forward. But um, he's projecting to be a player in the NHL, and if you have not heard his name, start looking at your waiver wires to see if he's available. Because in a dynasty league, this guy might be the thing, the next best thing.
mm. Junior, anything to add?
His NHLE based off this season is 66 points. But like if you
Oh,
look at Frozen Tools, he's a 7.8 prospect upside and a 68% prospect certainty. So there's still some doubt there.
hmm. But he's been listen. The one thing is he's been playing against man for 3 seasons. He's been in the KHL. He played 53 games his first year, 47 the second year, and 62 this year. And his last 2 years, his team made the playoffs. So he also has playoff experience. So it's interesting he's so high, but also as a 21-year-old compared to the 18 and 19-year-olds we're talking about, uh, it's typical that he's that high. And obviously, right now, any winger with Chicago will be talked about because they're looking for someone to play with Connor Bedard. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But this is the second player Chicago has in the top 10 of Button's list. So listen, we don't want this episode to go longer than it should. So Nick, give me one more player that you're looking at on this list that you want to talk about, and just see who has the best opportunity to make it into the NHL.
Well, I'm gonna do you one better. I'm gonna do a quick comparison between two players that I traded
Ooh,
for,
I like it. Go.
or were in trade talks, I should say, recently. And I'm going to use hockey prospecting to kind of do that. So, Konsta Helenius is listed at 25th on this list, whereas Braden Coots is listed at 30 on this list.
Oh, I
According
thought you were
to
gonna go with someone else next. Sorry.
Hockey Prospecting, Konsta Helenius has a 40% chance of being a star, 99% chance of being an NHLer. Braden Coots has a 17% chance of being a star, 61% chance of being an NHLer. So this is going to be very interesting to see how it goes forward because Konsta Helenius, 5'11", shoots right center. Braden Coots, 6 foot tall, shoots right center. They were drafted both in separate draft years. Konsta Helenius in 2024, Braden Coots in 2025. Helenius went 14th, Coots went
Mm-hmm.
15th in his
Oh,
draft year.
wow.
So very, very similar draft positions and very similar in body size, maybe, or makeup. But we'll see how it goes moving forward. Konstantinis has a great chance of being a center in the NHL under the Buffalo team that seems to be surging right now. And Braden Kuz has a great chance of being an NHLer. He is 8 months younger, Braden Kuz, but Vancouver has no centers. So this might be the way that it goes. It's going to be fun to see, uh, for me at least, a comparison of these two guys and how their careers go forward.
Junior?
Hold on, sorry about that. Am I still connected or
Yeah, you're still gonna.
okay? Um, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna stick to the goalie tandem. Sergei Murashov. He's
Mm.
21 years old, drafted by the Pittsburgh Penguins. 2022, fourth round, 118th. He has ridiculous numbers in the AHL this year. 921 save percentage, a 2.18 goals against average. That rivals the numbers of Sebastian Cossa, who we spoke about earlier. And Sebastian Cossa is 3 years older and on a much better team. So if you take a look at the Pittsburgh Penguins' current situation, they have Stuart Skinner and Arthur Silovs, both with expiring contracts. Silovs is an RFA. They can still resign him if they want, and he's 24 years old. And then after that, there's Blomqvist, who's 24 on an expiring contract, and then there's Murashov. So the opportunity is there for when Pittsburgh is going to be ready to compete to win some games, not necessarily the cup because that might be a while. Murashov is going to be probably the guy that leads the team in goal. And if I just want to give you his, yeah, there was a lot of talk of Blomqvist, but Murashov probably has the higher ups on him and will do going forward. So I think Murashov is a guy you should target if you have if you're in a dynasty league as a goalie for the future, and yeah, he'll prevail. Frozen Tools has a prospect upside of 8 on 10 and a prospect certainty of 70%. But I think most goalies will range between those numbers because they're just too unpredictable. But
Yeah.
I just thought he came on strong, and I don't know, I like him a lot.
So you can start playing the outro music, Drew, if you want. But the one player I'm gonna look at is number 39 on this list. He was fifth round, 144th overall. Ethan Wittenbach from the Calgary Flames, left winger, 19 years old. He's leading the NCAA in points, 24 goals, and 57 points. Draft year, he had a 26% chance of being an NHLer. It boosted to 79% right now in hockey prospecting to be an NHLer. So, I mean, and Calgary is the perfect team to go with because at the end of the day, they're rebuilding. So he's in the perfect situation. So I'd watch out for him. I tried to look at him in Lama, but unfortunately Jamie has him. So uh, he's not getting rid of him. And so that's about it. So listen, to anybody there, you can go on TSN. Greg Button's list is there. I hope this was informative. about you, and if we spoke about your favorite team and some of the young players, please give us feedback. If you think there's another player on this team that we should have talked about, please leave us a comment, and we'll get to it in our next episode. But besides that, guys, I mean, why did the tomato turn red? Because he saw the salad dressing.
Another salad joke.
Another salad dressing joke.
We guys, we could have spent like an hour on this. Like, there's guys we could have
Oh
spoken
no,
about.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Bryce Pickford is going to be someone I wanted to talk about.
I'm really intrigued
William
about
Morkoff.
Greentree. I don't know what to make of him going to
Greentree.
the Rangers,
Yeah.
but like he had high upside, and now like I'm intrigued. I'm really intrigued.
Even Zarvosky from Montreal, having an exceptional year in the KHL. So there's some big names on this. On
Do
this
you guys
list,
have
so.
hockey prospecting up? Do you want to check Liam Greentree 1 second? What his
Yeah.
prospecting looks like? Because on Frozen Tools, his prospect upside is 8.5 on 10, and his prospect certainty is 90%. So Frozen Tools is big on him.
Liam Grimsey. So I have him at loading. Star probability. He started at 18, went to 24, now is at 15. His NHL probability went to 53, 68, and 70%. So they're comparing him
so
to
middle sixer.
yeah, but the players are comparing him to like a Shane Wright, Eric Belanger, Cody Hodgson, maybe a Pavel Dimitra. If in his draft year, he was compared to a Pavel Dimitra. So he's a player that needs to develop, and we'll see
Middle
how he
six.
does with the LA. Yeah, middle six. Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah.
Sorry, I had to stop the outro because if I play the outro while Vince talks, for some reason his voice gets cut off. So
Oh, sorry about that. Okay. Well, peeps, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informative. Please subscribe, like, comment. We're gonna have a question of the week again this week. At some point, we might even have 2 or 3 because we see it actually gains traction. So we'll come up with some of these questions, and please feel free to correspond.
And this episode was brought to you by ANC Photo Booths.
yes, ANC.
No party is a good party without ANC Photo Booths. We just had our first referral have their event, and nothing but good reviews. I'm waiting for an official quote that I can perhaps share with you all next week.
Guys, wedding, baptisms, confirmation, the photo booth. Everybody wants to take photos. Just get it. Don't get a photographer. Just get the photo booth.
Save the money.
Save the money. All right, peeps. Have a good night.
Have a good week. End of week, I guess.